Well, hello, and welcome to Epic Sensitives. I am your hostess, Angie K. Milgate, the Phoenix, and I'm really excited to be with you here on a Sunday. Um, this is new for me. I've been having this inspirational nudge for the last couple weeks about doing devotionals on Sunday, and I'm being told that I'm not being heard. Okay. Let's try something different. Well, good morning. Now I'm wondering if you can hear me. I called into my own show as a guest, so let's see if this is working. For those of you that are in the chat room, if you can hear me, let me know. Thank you for. Yeah, thank you, chatters. So welcome to Epic Sensitives. Welcome to a Sunday morning. I am Angie Milgate, your host for the next less than an hour now, since it took me a bit of technical difficulties to get in. I'm really grateful for you joining me, and I'm grateful for the inspiration to actually get on the air today and talk about what it is that's on my heart and mind. For a few weeks now, I have had this nudge from my spirit team guides saying, hey, maybe it's time to start returning to your roots, to returning to a day where Sunday is a day of looking internally. That's what I'm looking for. A day of praise, a day of worship. I was born and raised in a religion, and I left it back in 2006. And since then, I've been on a journey of spiritual awakening. So for me, the process of returning to worship on Sundays is an interesting experience because for me, I was not wanting it to be religious. For me, Sundays have become a day of peace and a day of exploring energy of what wants to happen next. Often on Sundays, I am out in the world being of service to humanity through the healing work that I do. And there was something very beautiful and aligned with that process of being in touch with humanity and being of service. And the dudes on my spirit team kept saying, well, we want you to speak. We want you to share messages of love and healing on Sundays. We want you to be a voice that is speaking for the energy of love so that people that are looking for a place, looking for a message that's different than religion, looking for the energy of home, that they can find it. And so I've been kind of hesitating and looking at, what is it that I really want to do, and how do I want to be of service to humanity? And so for the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to talk about some things that are really near and dear to my heart, and I believe are at the core of how we be successful humans on this planet, in this third dimension that we call Earth, this plane of physicality. And so thank you for being with me. If you're listening online through Facebook or other means, if you come on over to blogtalkradio.com and go to the Epic Sensitive page, you can actually join us in the chat room, which is fun because you can interact with me instantaneously through the chat room. One of the chatters just asked me if I'd thought about becoming a follower of Stoicism, and I've actually never heard of Stoicism, so maybe it's something that I need to research. But for me, what I know to be true is that love, in the truest sense of the word, not how humans have twisted it into becoming a energy of possession and obsession and control, domination, that isn't actually what love is. That's what very confused humans have twisted it into by trying to push it through the lens of fear. And it's become something completely different on this planet. And oftentimes I find myself rather confused about love here because, honestly, it just doesn't make sense. If you find that you need to leave the computer and you want to stay connected to this call, you're actually welcome to call in area code 646-787-8475. And you can call in and listen online there. You don't have to come on the air. You can just listen. Again, that's 646-787-8475. You're also welcome to look us up in the archives. We're on the archives on Blog Talk Radio, as well as on iTunes. We are streaming through iTunes now, and you can download us there. I would love if you share this show, because if you're willing to share this show with your loved ones, we can spread this message out across the land. Part of the reason why I'm doing this radio show is I'm leading what I call a revolution. However, I've spelled it differently. It's spelled R-E-V-E-L, Ocean. Revolution. So it's revolutionary revelry, because I believe we can play our way through healing. I believe we can play our way out of the darkness and into the light. I believe that within us is all of the answers that we need. We don't need to look elsewhere. I am a voice for differing points of view. I am a voice. The things that I will share with you here are what I believe to be true because of my experiences. The lens through which I look at this world has been formed by half a century of experience and being human in this lifetime and loving and falling apart and walking through the dark and experiencing hell on earth and living through abuse and domestic violence and coming out on the other side knowing that there are healthier, happier, more expansive ways to be on this planet. I experienced, as a child, before the age of 3, I experienced a near-death experience where I actually died due to really high fevers, and my father had to bring me back to life. And then again in 2007, I had a 7-day-long near-death experience because I contracted West Nile virus, and for the first week it was touch and go on whether or not I was going to live. And I had a very real experience of having death sitting beside the bed. I could feel the presence of this being beside me, and I would have conversations with this entity that was beside me. And it was a very masculine energy, asked me every day, "Are you ready? Are you done here? Are you ready to go?" And I kept choosing to stay. I kept choosing to stay on this planet, mostly at that time because I was a mother of a very young girl, my daughter, and I didn't want to leave her. I wasn't done being a mom. It took me a lot of time and a lot of work to get her to this planet, and I wasn't ready to leave her yet, so I stayed for her in 2007. Then in 2009, I had a very visceral near-death experience. I swallowed an air bubble that shut down my vagus nerve, effectively killing me. I miss you so much. So good to see you again. Thank you, offering. Breathe really deeply. Sometimes when I am in a space of channeling or I'm in a space of delivering message from Spirit, the energy will kerfuffle the lines. So breathe with me. And let's hold space for the clarity to come back as I go forward with this message. So when I was a teenager, I had the experience of going to a conference with a bunch of teenagers from my church. And it was held at a private college here in Utah where I grew up. And we were surrounded, like we filled the campus. It was a summer conference, and we were there for a week. And so there were, all of these teenagers crawling all over the campus, feeling like we were so cool because we were at college. And this conference, we had all throughout the day, we had all of these different classes that we could go to learn about things that our church was teaching us. And then at night, we'd have different events. Like one night, we went to a devotional concert. One night, we had a dance. And so it was so fun to be in the space of learning and connecting. And there was a class that was held in one of the biggest auditoriums. And the title of the class was called Love is the Feeling You Feel When You Feel You're Feeling a Feeling You've Never Felt Before. and for me, that experience of going to an event where it was such a ridiculous title, of course, the entire space was filled with mostly girls. Giggling girls. Yay, we're going to get to learn about love, because we were also focused on being in love and experiencing love, and what does it mean to be in love, and how do we feel about love. And, of course, we were all very boy crazy, and there was, yay, chatters say it's all better now. I was getting up to go get another headset to see if that was going to help us solve the problem. But at any rate, we were this conglomeration of giggling teenage girls in this giant auditorium, learning about love is a feeling you feel when you feel that you're feeling a feeling you've never felt before. It was the most ridiculous title, and it attracted us girls in droves. We were teenagers, crazy about being in love. Everything about our life was focused on finding the one. And so I remember nothing from that class, nothing from the class other than the silly title. Love is a feeling you feel when you feel that you're feeling a feeling you've never felt before. And that was for me. Even now, all of these years later, when I look back on that experience and I try to roll that title off my tongue, I believe that, because love, when you're truly in a space of love, it is a feeling that you can't describe. It is a feeling that is very different than any other feeling. And when you are in the space of love with a capital L, then you are in the space of pure, divine energy. One of my favorite movies is a Steve Carell movie called Dan in Real Life. I highly recommend it if you have not watched it. It's a great one, very touching about the experience of going through divorce or going through a death and raising children, and how do you raise children in the space of divorce or death, and how do you be with your children when their hearts are broken, and how do you be with yourself when your heart is broken? And how do you be everything for your children in the space of that broken-hearted grief of separation? And there's a character in the movie that's in it for just a very short time. The middle daughter of Dan has 3 daughters, and the middle daughter is probably 15 or 16 years old, and she's head over heels in love with a boy from school, and Dan, of course, doesn't want her to be in love because she's too young. And the boy sneaks away because Dan has taken his daughters away for the weekend to meet his family at the cabin in the woods, and they're closing it down for the summer, and the middle daughter is angry because he took her away from her love of her life. Well, the boy sneaks out of town and comes and finds them in the woods, and of course Dan flips his lid, and as he's kicking the boy off the site and calling a cab to come get him, the young man says to Dan, "Love is not a feeling. It is an ability." And when I first heard that line, I've watched that movie so many times, and each time I hear that line, that line catches me. It holds me. And I think about that. What does that mean? Love is an ability. It's something that we be. It's something that we are capable of. It's not necessarily something we feel, but it's something we be. It's something we express. It's something that we carry forward into the world and we share. And when we share it, love is one of those things that when you share it, it grows, like happiness. When you share happiness, it grows. When you share love, it grows. There's no such thing as giving away too much love. There's no such thing. You can't love too much. Now, I know it's epic sensitive. You've often been given the message that you love too much, or you expect too much, or you see people in a way that they cannot live up to. It's just too high of expectation. And what I want to invite you to do is to look at the possibility that the reason why you love as big and as long and as unendingly and without conditions as you do is because you innately have a true, clear understanding of what it means to be loved. So I was born and raised in a Christian religion, so my background is based on the Bible, the King James Version of the Bible, to be exact. And whenever I think about the topic of love, I think about Jesus Christ. Whatever you believe about Jesus Christ, that is awesome. Believe what you want to believe. If you believe he was the Savior, if you believe he was a prophet, if you believe he was a king, if you believe he was a carpenter, if you believe he was just a man, whatever it is that you believe about Jesus, that is perfect for you. It's perfect for where you are, and I honor your beliefs. For me, and in my very real and clear knowing of the energy of Jesus, I know him to be a very powerful being. I know him to have been someone who lovingly chose to be an example of all that we can be here on this planet. I believe he lived to show how much he loved us. I know that a lot of religions say he died to show us how much he loved us. But for me, it's not his death that is meaningful. I believe it was his life before his death that was meaningful. I love this. One of the chatters just said, I believe he was a man, but a man that changed the world with his revolutionary teachings and beliefs. For me, that is very much in alignment with what I believe. Now, because of the healing work I do and because of the metaphysical work I do, I have had the honor of actually calling in and sitting with Jesus. And I know that when I say that there are many religious people whose heads want to explode. I actually did a session with my father, my birth father, who is literally still very religious, very much embroiled in the religion of his life, the religion he raised me in. And I did a healing session with him several years ago, and in that healing session, Jesus showed up. And I got to channel messages for my father directly from Jesus, which my father and I have never talked about that since then. We talked about it in the room where I did the very sacred work. But then once my dad walked out of that room, he's never brought it up again. Because I believe that the experience of having his female child deliver a message directly from Jesus the Christ for my dad, whose entire life has been religion, that was like a double-edged sword for him. But because of the space that I hold, because of the work that I've done, because of the calling that I have chosen to step into, Jesus has become my close friend. Like, I sometimes laugh and giggle and say, Jesus is my homie. Like we hang out. I talk with him, and I know that his example is who we can be. One of the things that he said while he was here on this planet was love one another. He gave a new commandment that we love one another as he loved us. The actual scripture from John 13, chapter 13, verse 34 is a new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. In John 15:12, it's repeated, this is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. One of my favorite scriptures is Leviticus 19:18. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Romans 13:8. Owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. Can you see the importance? James 2:8. If ye fulfill the royal law according to the scriptures, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, ye do well. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love one another as Jesus has loved us. So some religions teach that he died to prove how much he loved us. I believe that he lived to prove how powerful of a transformational energy love is. He was able to bless the lives of those around him simply by being a loving presence. He raised up those who were put upon. He loved, he embraced, he welcomed. No one was excluded. The scriptures say, love thy neighbor as thyself. It doesn't say, love your neighbor as yourself as long as they keep their yard clean and they don't sell drugs and their color of their skin matches yours and they practice the same religion as you and they're in the same financial class as you and they hold the same beliefs as you. There's a meme that's going around Facebook that has a picture of Jesus preaching, and it says, my new commandment is to love one another. And then all of these people are asking questions, well, but what if he's gay? But what if my neighbor is a thief? But what if my neighbor is poor? But what if my neighbor is uneducated? And at the bottom it says, did I stutter? The scriptures, Jesus himself said, love one another. It's quoted throughout the Bible. And any version of the Bible has the same scriptures, just in more modern language. Love one another. What does it mean to love one another? So I believe love is the state of being and the energy of acceptance, of allowance, of non-judgment. Judgment is the antithesis to love. You cannot love one another when you are in judgment. When you judge another, you must hold yourself away, separate from them. Because to judge, you have to see the difference. You have to look at that person and go, okay, I am this, they are that. I am right, they're wrong. You are in judgment. You can separate yourself from when you are love. You do not let the force. I let go of it. I'm going to my skin. So now what's happening? I'm afraid there's going to be echoes on this one. So let me know. So, loving one another. It's a commandment. It is a commandment. But more importantly, it is a gift that we give ourselves. When we choose to be a space of non-judgment, a space of allowing, a space of curiosity, because really and truly, I believe that there are very few humans out there that actually want humanity to fail. I think everybody wants us to succeed. I think in each person's way, there is the strong desire for the human race to continue on. I believe that humans want to exist. I believe that humans actually want there to be the best for themselves, the best for their families, and the best for their neighbors. Now, sometimes humans get confused and they start looking at, well, my way is the best way. And so for everybody to be happy, they need to be living like I live. There's a lot of that my way is the right way when you look at history and you look at how the world was conquered. The world was conquered by people that believed their way was the right way. Wherever immigrants went, wherever quote-unquote invaders went, they were moving their way into the land of other peoples. And they were enforcing their way was the right way and they need to live. If you look at the Christian crusades, the Christian missionaries and how they have gone around the world, one of the most powerful movies that I ever saw that just was an experience of gut-wrenching pain for me because of being an empath and a visionary. The movie was Silence. And that movie was beautiful, but it was about the true stories of the Christian missionaries moving into lands where Christianity had never been. And the entire movie was done without a soundtrack. There was literally no sound except for the natural sound in the scenes, in the environment scenes. But it showed how the missionaries went in with the full belief that their way was the right way and that they were willing to die for that. While they watched the people that had converted to Christianity be tortured, and they themselves were tortured. but they held on to it. They held on to these beliefs that their way was the right way. And there were a couple of scenes where some of the missionaries broke and said that, okay, our way is not the way, so that the torture would end. And I remember there being a scene where one of the stoic missionaries who would not give up the belief and was judging the other missionaries that had, in his eyes, he believed they had caved because they wanted the torture to stop. And he sat down with one of the very first missionaries and in full judgment said, how could you do this? How could you deny the Christ? And the other missionary said, I believe that we are here to live a life of joy. And I believe Jesus would want that for us. Just because I say out loud that I don't believe in Christianity doesn't necessarily mean that it's true in my heart, but it does end the torture, and I can be in joy. And I believe that my Savior would have been okay with that choice. One of the things that I have discovered a lot about epic sensitives is that there is underlying need to sacrifice themselves for the greater good, sacrifice themselves for their family, sacrifice themselves so that everybody around them is at peace, even though they're in turmoil. They take on a lot of people's stuff, and they choose to be without joy so that everybody else can be in joy. That, my friend, is not love. You are a people too. You are a people too. You, as an epic sensitive, are here to uplift and love and heal humanity, and you are part of that. Being a space of love starts with you. So one of the things that I learned, the day that I learned I was an epic sensitive of grand proportions, that I'm an empath that can feel, I can feel the entire globe. The day I learned that was May 2nd, 2011. It was the day that the Navy SEALs found and killed Osama bin Laden. And for me, at the time, I was co-hosting a different radio show, and by that time, probably around 2007, I stopped watching the news, so I didn't actually know what was going on. I just woke up that morning feeling completely torn apart. And on the radio show, just before the radio show started, I got on the line with the co-hostess, and she's like, do you realize what's happened this weekend? There were 3 very important deaths, one of which was Osama bin Laden. And we went on air with me in that energy, and I had this complete breakdown in front of live and on air with a radio audience of 75,000 international listeners. I mean, it was big. There were a lot of witnesses, and I completely fell apart, and it put me out of commission for about 24 hours. I was a complete puddle of mud. And when I came back from that experience, when I gathered myself back together, I asked of my guides, you have got to show me how to be on this planet with this level of sensitivity, because I was melting down all over the place over and over and over again because of the pain that is on this planet. Now, at that time, the reason why I had a breakdown was because in the United States of America, the overwhelming energy was one of celebration. A man had been murdered, and people were celebrating that. Now, in his homeland, the level of grief from the people that loved him, the people that followed him, the level of grief surpassed the celebration here in this nation. And for me, being in a space where I was holding those two energies, the conflicting energy of rejoicing and grieving, was so profound that it literally broke me, and I melted down, and I became completely useless for 24 hours, which is why when I came back to myself after spending time in a very fuzzy space and really connected with my spirit team, why I said, please show me how. How do I be on this planet with the level of pain that is here? And I'm going to share with you the tool that they gave me. And it was such a simple tool. It's a tool that each of us have. However, as epic sensitives, we have a tendency to forget that we have this tool. But they reminded me that there is a tool, a gift, this power that we have been blessed with, that is ours, always. So, inhale. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale. Exhale as deeply as you can. Empty out all of the toxic energy, stale air that's in you, and just let it all go. Bring your awareness as you breathe in deeply. If you're in a space where you can and you're safe, you're not driving, close your eyes. Pay attention to what it feels like as your lungs fill up, as you breathe in, and as they let go as you breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Remember, on the inhale, when you breathe in, you're receiving life, light, oxygen, love. When you exhale, you're letting go of everything that no longer serves. You're feeding the environment. You're releasing the toxins. You breathe in to receive, and you breathe out to let go. Our breath is so important. It is the simplest, most powerful tool that you have in your tool belt. With one breath in, where you allow your lungs to fill up, and one breath out, where you allow it to all let go. You change things. You shift your energy. You shift the world. You shift yourself. Your breath is a gift from the divine. when we're born into this world, everybody in the room that is there to deliver us, no matter where we're born, every single person in that space is waiting for us to breathe. As a newborn child, your most important function was your breath. They're waiting for you to breathe in and then exhale, and the exhale is usually in a scream, "Wah!" as you experience this world for the first time in that body. So the very first and most important thing as a human being, breathe, is to inhale. They're waiting for that gasping intake of air to show that your lungs can do it. And if they can't, there's panic and people rush around trying to support you to get you to breathe so you can live. And then we live our life, and it comes the day that we die. And the very last thing we do on this planet is exhale. Breathing is life. It is how we be on this planet right now. We breathe in and we breathe out. And as epic sensitives, the importance of your breath is there are no words for the level of importance of your breath. When you figure out that your breath is linked to your life, and your life is linked to your breath, and you choose to breathe, possibly for the very first time since you inhaled at birth, you are actually doing the first step to loving yourself. In the world of new consciousness thinking, conscious awareness, there's a lot of talk about loving yourself. And my experience with epic sensitives is that when they're told you got to love yourself more, it's very confusing, because they're most often what they say to me is, well, I'm here. Doesn't that mean I love myself? It actually doesn't. You're here. All that means is you're here. You haven't died yet. You haven't left yet. You're here. Choosing to be alive is a very different state of being than just being here. When you choose to be fully alive, you are a space of love for yourself. And you can only receive love to the depth that you love yourself, and vice versa. The humans around you can only receive the depth of your love to which they have loved themselves. So love is the key, and breathing is the key to life. When you choose to be a space of love and curiosity, going to go back to that curiosity piece. And for those of you that are curious about that beautiful music that I played, it was called The Quiet Morning by David Fesliyan. He has amazing music online at fesliyanstudios.com, and that's spelled F as in Frank, E, S as in Sam, Liyan as in Nancy, S as in Sam, T as in Thomas, UD as in David, IOS.com. So fesliyanstudios.com. Amazing music for videos and other projects. I highly recommend him give him a look into. So that beautiful music in conjunction with the breathing, you spent 3.5 minutes breathing and being in a space of conscious breath, breathing in and breathing out, allowing it to shift your energy. When you choose to consciously breathe, paying attention to your inhale and paying attention to your exhale, you bring your energy fully present into this moment. And my dear Epic Sensitives, this moment is your life. This moment, and this moment. That is all there is. There truly is no past other than in your memories. And there truly is no future other than in your hopes. Experience of being alive is in the now. And while we can talk about quantum physics and that time is happening all at once, if you think about it, if time is happening all at once, that means the past and the present and the future is now. It's in this moment. And when you breathe and you inhale and you pay attention to that inhale and you exhale, paying as much attention to letting go of that, then you are fully present with the process of now, of being in now. You have the ability to change this planet's energy by shifting your energy. When you choose to be love, to love one another as Jesus loved you, as Jesus loves you, when you choose to love your neighbor as you love yourself, you become a ripple of love that goes out across the land, changing people's lives, people you don't even know. When you choose to be curious and wonder about the people around you and be aware and allow them to have their own beliefs, their own practices, then you become a space of acceptance. You become a space where love can dwell. And when you're in a space where love can dwell, then you are in the space of life. You are in the space of light. I recently had a rather traumatic experience last week, actually, and it happened before the sun rose. And I've realized since then that my experience of being in the dark has shifted. Up until that experience last Monday, I was fearless in the dark. And this morning I was talking with my sweetheart, and I said to him, you know, I used to say that I don't fear the dark. And what I'm realizing is since that experience last Monday, I have developed a fear of the dark. But as I was saying that, I was like, is that true? Do I fear the dark? Because really and truly, as the phoenix, I spend a lot of time in the dark, a lot of time in the space of transitioning from the dark to the light, from death to life. I spend a lot of time working in the dark because that is where the healing needs to happen, in those dark places within the humans, where the abuse and the trauma has been stored, where the parts of us that we are ashamed of, where our guilt is, that's hiding in the dark. And so as the words came tumbling out of my mouth this morning that I was afraid of the dark, I actually checked in. I was like, is that true? Is it true for me that I'm afraid of the dark? Because I confidently stand in the space of darkness and I face the demons and the entities and the ghosts and the monsters and the creatures that are hidden in the dark, that the subconscious has built inside the dark, and I face them without fear. But I realized that it's the humans in the dark that I'm most fearing. And when I had that realization, I began to wonder, what if I am love in the dark? Now, in my experience last Monday, I had a very visceral experience of being love in the dark. But there's been this residual fear that has clung to me, a sense that somebody's coming up behind me. There's something around the corner that I can't see. And so I believe that this is coming up now because somebody is listening who is afraid to love, who is afraid to be the light for fear that if they are the light, they will be found. My friend, when you hide in the darkness, all that happens is you hide. And all that is hidden in the darkness is there with you. But when you choose to illuminate the darkness, when you choose to liberate yourself from the darkness, you transform yourself. And when you transform yourself, you transform society. We are here to be love. We are here to experience life. We are here to learn. We are here to be witness to the beauty and the magnificence of this planet. Take a look around you at the glory that is all around you, the magic. At one point, this technology that you and I are connecting through was not in existence. Somebody had to dream that up. Somebody had to be passionate about finding a new way to connect the world. And through their love of connecting, you and I can connect here in this moment. I can share this message around the world. People everywhere can connect in and be love and breathe with us, breathing in and breathing out. It is a choice to be love. It is a choice to allow others to be different. It is a choice to love yourself enough to stand up and say enough when it comes to abuse. It is love to say no. You do have a divine right to be in peace, to be in joy, to be in love. As a child of divine energy and light, as a child of the one source of all that is, and even if you ask science, they can boil it down to every one of us on this planet are all from the same source. We are all made of the same stuff. So whether you believe in God and heaven or hell or science or nothing or the big black void after this or only one life or multiple lives, we are all from the same stuff. One of the scientists said, and I don't remember which one it is, said that we're all made of star stuff. We are made from the same source. Our physical bodies are the same source. Our eternal aspect, that which makes us live, is energy, same source. So whether we're talking physical, mind, body, spirit, we are from the same source. Therefore, when I choose love, when I choose to be love for myself, when I choose to stand up and say no more for abuse, when I choose to stand up for those who have lost their voice, when I choose to be a space of acceptance and allowance, and I keep hearing someone going, yeah, but how do we, what do we do about the people that are hurting each other? How do we reconcile love, allowance, and standing up. It is okay to say no. It is okay to say enough. Abuse in any form is never love. And that is an entirely different topic that we can talk about at another date. So we're drawing to a close here. For me, the message today is love one another. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. And the key to that is as you love yourself. For you to love one another, you must love yourself first. For you to love yourself first, you must choose it. For you to choose it, you must be alive. For you to be alive, you must breathe. So, be love. Be light. Be the force that changes this world. Because that's what we're here to do as Epic Sensitives. Thank you for being here today. If you'd like to learn more about my work, you can reach out to me at my website, angiemilgate.com. I have created a new Facebook group for Epic Sensitives. You can go to the facebook.com and search Epic Sensitives and join us there. If you'd like to connect with me through a 30-minute free call to see if my work is in alignment with you and how I can be of support to you, you can reach out to me at connectwiththephoenix.com. Thank you for being here today. Create yourself a beautiful day. I love you so much. Bye-bye.